Well, hey everyone, thanks for having me. It's been a great set of presentations, really enjoyed it. So my presentation, I want to kind of continue from where I left off last time and talk a bit more about the applications which we've been building at this intersection of crypto and AI, particularly leveraging LLMs. So last time I was talking about this pyramid, and it's actually a good entry point to this conversation because the way we currently look at LLMs is that we consider them as essentially thinking tools for decentralized autonomous agents. So let me explain and recap for a second what I mean by all this. At Autonomous, we are focused on creating this concept of decentralized autonomous agents. So that's like a level up from an autonomous agent, an autonomous software agent, of which there are many, exciting frameworks to build these agents in, including some which I was involved offering. And these decentralized autonomous agents, which you can build with the Autonomous stack, increasingly use AI tools and particularly LLMs to become core parts of their architecture. And today I really want to first focus on these use cases, which we're currently exploring, and then show you where we are headed on that journey. Now, a quick recap on how we think about decentralized autonomous agents. We also refer to them as autonomous services. They're effectively made up of multiple nodes that run off-chain and that collectively form one application, the autonomous agent. So effectively, this kind of software autonomous agents, which arise as this sort of higher level outcome of this distributed decentralized system. And because it's running off-chain, it can interact with all sorts of data sources, including tools like LLMs, and it can then take actions on-chain. So we are at the at Valerie, and which is the company hosting this series of talks, and also one of the creators of Autonomous. At Valerie, we currently very early in our in our journey to basically utilize LLMs. And so today we'll cover some of those examples. One use case which we launched earlier this year is really focused on this idea of autonomous governance. It's aptly named the Governator. You can access it here. It's live. You can use it. Now, how do we use LLMs here? Effectively, each agent in this hexagon, which you saw a couple of moments ago, each agent in this autonomous service connects to an LLM instance. In this case, it doesn't really matter where this LLM instance lives. So you can have a centralized LLM like OpenAI's different instances. You can use something like Claude, another centralized instance, or you could use one of those open source instances, which for instance, David referred to earlier. The agent then prompts that LLM instance with a proposal and the aggregate voting intent, both of which it obviously gets from other data sources. So the proposal it gets from either the governance contract or snapshot, and the aggregate voting intent was effectively delegated to it by the users of the Governator. And the agent then uses that to effectively establish how it should be voting on that particular proposal. And so there's effectively then this happening n times, i.e. as many times as there are agents in the autonomous service. And the autonomous service then as a whole aggregates the responses and can apply various additional logic to ensure that the system as a whole behaves sensibly. That's very important because LLMs are not deterministic. So it might actually happen that with the exact same input, you get different responses at different times. And so it's very important to have this sort of aggregation kind of logic which an autonomous service offers you. Now, as a user, what you effectively get is an autonomous delegate. You can delegate its token to the governor, your tokens to the governor, and the governor will then henceforth vote autonomously on any upcoming proposals for which it holds tokens. Another use case which went live, I think, a month and a half ago, is focused on this idea that we want to make it as frictionless as possible for sort of crypto native entities to access any sort of AI tool. So it connects a bit with what we just heard from Sal. Effectively, all you need a wallet. You don't need API keys. You just need a wallet. And with that wallet, you can access various tools. At the moment, AI Max, which is also a live product we have, supports, for instance, OpenAI's various endpoints as well as Stability AI's various endpoints. You can see them here, and you can interact via a simple client technology, for instance, on the command line with this Mac. Anyone can, in fact, also deploy a Mac. And so in this instance, for instance, that client can live in your front-end application. It could live as part of your back-end application. It could live as part of another autonomous service. And the benefit is that you no longer, as the requesting entity, need to hold any API key to these centralized tools. All you need to do is effectively pay for your request in a cryptocurrency of your choice. In this case, the system is deployed on Gnosis. A more advanced and, again, end-user facing product, which we've started developing and is currently in alpha stage, is called Centaurs. The use case we've explored there so far is focused on a co-pilot for DAOs. This kind of concept of co-creation was mentioned earlier in Zhao's talk as well. Effectively here, what happens is that the users of this product, the Centaur, can not just co-own a social media account, but also use these AI Max, which I introduced a second ago, as a backend system as an LLM. So again, the benefit is that users of a Centaur who might effectively be like a multi-sig wallet, a group of users, they do no longer have to have any sort of API keys for these things. They can just provide, for instance, a small number of XDAI into their Centaur, and then the Centaur can use AI systems like LLMs for summarization or chat functionality as a backend. And then a final use case I want to introduce, which we are currently working on heavily and which will come live in mid-July. And we'll make a number of announcements around what that means for developers and the ecosystem, is one focused on AI-powered prediction markets. Effectively, this idea came out of the Gnosis ecosystem. In collaboration with them, we identified that our trading agent, our autonomous agent software really suits itself to build autonomous trading agent and autonomous market making agents. And combined with AI Max, you then get this exciting possibility where you could create an entire AI-powered prediction market, potentially with no human involvement whatsoever, although, of course, it can complement existing human prediction markets. So, yeah, stay tuned on that one. So where are we going with all of this? Well, again, Autonomous, the DAO and ecosystem is focused on many different types of off-chain services, which all kind of connect and consume each other. In the context of autonomous agent systems, we are currently doing 3 very concrete things. Algovera, Richard, who was the first presenter, is working on a grant with us, which will bring LLM programming capabilities to the Open Autonomy Stack. With the Gnosis ecosystem, we're collaborating on these AI prediction markets and have already brought the AI Max. And then at Valerie, we're really heavily focused on bringing new products, specifically around the Centaurs, and making them truly autonomous agent systems. Now, I just want to close out on effectively pointing you to our new site. The team has, the DAO's team has worked on this over recent weeks, and it's a much more distilled description of what Autonomous is about, what it offers, and how you can get involved. So I suggest you check it out. Thank you for your time, and thanks again for all the speakers. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too.
Awesome. Thank you very much, David. So now we have a few more minutes before we'll switch over to our open discussion. So I'll invite people to share text-based questions in the chat tab under stage, and I'll read them out so that when replay viewers watch the video, they'll be able to hear the question as well as the answer. So let me just check for those really quickly. Okay, I think maybe people have said. So while we're waiting, maybe you could talk a little bit more about the Centaurs like UX, because I think that's very directly related to our theme of LLMs in crypto.
Yeah. So Centaurs is a very ambitious product, and we will spend a lot of time in the coming months to bring new functionalities and experiences to it. At the moment, it works a bit like a co-owned social media account with some cool features, let's say. So we very concretely, we are using it now in the context of the Autonomous DAO to actually allow the DAO to create social content for Twitter and other platforms. Co-create. So this theme of co-creation came up a lot. In that context, the LLM can be used in a couple of ways. So firstly, throughout the process of actually creating the content, you can use prompt templates, which, for instance, the DAO has co-created to ensure that a certain tone is met, that a certain kind of maybe set of legal conditions are satisfied around how certain things are described or referenced, and that it's understandable to the audience and kind of connects with the prior flow of content. Another element, I think David Warwick brought it up, is this kind of user education. So very early iterations of Centaurs were heavily focused on this. So basically the co-creation was around creating some sort of memory, which then could be consumed by new arrivals to the DAO. We're still in the early stages of exploring this, but I think what you can all look forward to is that we're definitely bringing much more autonomous functionality to the Centaurs. So far, most of it has really focused on the co-pilot features, and this kind of autonomous self-executing features will come more. So a bit more like the Governator.
Okay, cool. So we've got about 1 minute, and you can answer this one pretty quickly. So I'll just give it. Okay, actually, got another quite long one. So Peter would like to know how developers apply for Valerie grants to work on the stack. So I think that'll be a pretty quick answer.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Peter, firstly, I think today there went a tweet out from the DAO, which is all about how the Autonomous incentive program works. That's permissionless, so you don't need to go to Valerie at all. And I think we can put it in here later. The team can put it in so you can find it. There's also Valerie as just a startup. We're working with other startups to solve key problems with autonomous agents and decentralized autonomous agents or autonomous services at the intersection of AI and crypto. So if you feel like you have like some proposition which intersects with what we do, then yes, we are very happy to hear about it. And at the moment, there's no formal process. You can just get in touch.